It's back. On
Let's go.
today's episode, we're so excited. Media Day is here. We're going to break down all the burning questions, what we hope to hear from Denver Nuggets players, coaches, front office members, and also some interesting memories that we have from this day here on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Ryan Blackburn, host over here at Locked On Nuggets and at Pickaxe and Roll, Mile High Sports, stuff like that. He is Matt Moore at HP Basketball, does Hardwood Paroxysm, Denver Dig, the Action Network, also Locked On Daily as well, Locked On NBA Daily. Thank you for tuning into today's episode, folks. It is back. We are here. We are so excited for Media Day tomorrow. We're recording this on Sunday night. You'll probably listen to this on Monday. We'll give you reactions after the fact as well, some takeaways of the actual events themselves. But we wanted to precede that. We wanted to give you a kind of setting the stakes, setting the table for what should be, I think, the most interesting media day in a long time, Matt.
It's definitely, I think, the most hyped since 2022, setting up the title run. Because when you reload like this, when you're putting a bad taste in your mouth like last year behind you, it's a fresh start, new coach, new front office, new players, new rotation, lots of stuff that's going to be new. There's some continuity, which I think is good, but it's got to be the most anticipated start to a season. Everybody that follows the Nuggets is psyched. This should be a great run. They've got a real chance at getting back to the NBA Finals. And anytime that you're able to say that, it's worth being excited and really being able to take a breath and being like, this is just great. I can worry about the games later. We can start to panic after the first preseason game. But right now, it's time to be excited and be glad basketball's back.
So much of it is just about, yeah, exactly. So much of it is just about seeing the players in uniform again, seeing them just in front of the camera, laughing, being excited for things. Everybody's it's a big old back to school vibe. Every fan is excited to check in on the festivities. Don't say anything controversial, but as like the most important thing at this stage is that your team is back. You're ready to go. You're focused on winning a title. And a lot of fans really appreciate that. The media will be there to ask as many questions as we can, try to get the nice details on what happened during the summer and plans for the rest of the season. You wrote an article over at the Denver Dig that kind of detailed some of your initial thoughts on what you're hoping for Media Day to be. Can you take me through that a little bit and just the framing that you wanted for that and some burning questions that you think we'll be facing?
Yeah, I mean, I think my questions are always I'm most interested in what the coach is going to say, because it sets the tone for like what his plan is for the season, what he's willing to divulge, what he's not willing to divulge, his thoughts on roster competitions, his thoughts on, I want to ask like, hey, is the plan still to have Jamal stagger with the second unit? And he'll probably be like, yeah, we're still going to have Jamal stagger with the second unit, but just finding that out to know like, hey, are you, I want to know like, how much are they going to install? And what I mean by that is, are they changing systems? Are they changing play calls? How much are they changing in camp? Because usually the NBA training camp used to be 2 weeks, and then you would have to have a bunch of preseason games, and now it's 4 days, and then like 3 preseason games, and like that's it. So, I want to know, how much are they installing? Like, what are they putting in? How much is David Adelman going to change things?
Yeah,
because I do think that this team needs not just a roster change, but it needed a schematic. Not overhaul, but facelift. And I'm curious what he says about that.
I'm curious, how much of that do you think the Nuggets need going into the season to feel like things are different? Like, is there something schematic? Is there something in their approach to the game that you feel like they need?
No, I think the opposite. I think the players are all gonna be like, don't complicate things. Just keep everything the same. There's no reason to change anything. Just keep everything the same. They all know we're running. We all know what they're running. There's no we don't need to complicate this because it just causes confusion. But the difference, though, is so a good comparison for this that I use a lot is the 2016 Thunder, who were this close to upsetting the greatest what would have been the greatest team of all time if they hadn't gotten busted by LeBron. The Warriors. That team actually really struggled with pick and roll defense until March. And they went through a bunch of different schemes trying to figure out what they could and could not do, because Billy Donovan was pretty honest about it. I need to get an assessment of what we can and can't do. I need to figure out what are we capable of. Can we do this? Can we switch? Can we not switch? And then they settled on what they wanted to do, and they locked in and they figured it out. And from there on, they were off and running. But when they needed to adjust, they had this experience to fall back on of, hey, we know how to do this because we did it back in November, back in December, back in January. So it's kind of a complicated thing. I think players always want familiarity just because it's less of a mental hassle. It's just less to remember. But I think if the coach is we definitely need to change some things. We definitely want to make, even if it's small tweaks, those are big to players. What I will say is I do think this particular roster, especially the guys coming back, want to know, look, it's fine. If you want to change it, that's fine. But I got to know going in, what are we doing? And we can't be making stuff up on the fly. They want a solid system for them to rely on. And that tension point between what's familiar and maybe what's best is going to be interesting to watch.
Obviously, it wasn't just Michael Malone transitioning into David Adelman that was changed. There were a lot of coaches in the assistant coaching room. That is completely remade. And I wonder if having fresh voices, if having fresh perspectives on that will allow them the flexibility to approach the beginning of a training camp or the beginning of a preseason with at least some different goals in mind. Like we've talked about before, their defensive coverage is pretty complicated, I would say, in comparison to other standard coverages, where rather than switching everything, rather than dropping, they are blitzing a lot of the time. They are recovering. They're showing and recovering. Like how far Jokic goes out often changes the recovery backside. There's a lot of schematic things that they had to deal with, and they didn't necessarily have the personnel to do that well. Do they feel like they have personnel to do that better this time around, or are they going to change it entirely? Are they going to try to make it a little bit more straightforward? I think is a reasonable question to ask going in. And I wonder because, let's be honest, the burning question that I have, other than like, hey, do you think you have enough to win a championship 27 different times, is how are you going to improve the defense? That was the weak link last year. I don't have as many questions about the offense. I think that they're a little bit better positioned to be better offensively in the playoffs this time around as well. Like, how much are you going to improve defensively, and what mechanisms are you going to do in order to improve on that side?
Yeah, and I think I think how about this? They can play the old coverage playing at the level with Nikola easier because of Cam Johnson and Bruce Brown. But it might be better to play more drop because of where Jokic is at in his career. And that combination, that's it's not something I will ask about, because I feel like the answers are going to be like, you're crazy. He's still Nikola. He's still the best in the world. And he is. He's still the best in the world.
Yeah.
But there's just going to be this resistance to the idea of Jokic slowing down. It's not that he's slowing down because he's still only 30. It's just like, hey, he's got a lot of miles on him, and that tends to wear on guys after a while. And covering more for his endurance is something that they're going to have to do over the next 5 years. Like, it might be fine this year, but I will promise you over the next 5 years, covering for Jokic from an endurance standpoint is going to be more and more of a conversation.
Yeah. Finding more ways to make it more viable is extremely important. When we come back, why don't we ask a little bit about, hey, what do we think Jokic is going to be like? What do we think Jamal Murray is going to be like? What kind of impression are we going to get from David Adelman in this particular media day? I'm very curious to get your answers here on Locked On Nuggets. All right. This podcast is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. The biggest way that I could really use it was when going on a road trip. You never want to have a crash when you're out on a road trip. I was able to get the berry flavor. That was the most important thing for me coming back from my trip to Yellowstone. And it's amazing. Honestly, I just love how fast it kicks in, and that it's sugar-free. So I don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back at it. Locked On Nuggets, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, folks. Hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. We are on the road to 15,000 subscribers starting here at Media Day. We're going to get there by the end of the year. I know that we can. Thank you for helping us out on that front. We always appreciate the love and support on this show. If you're listening on the audio side, give us a 5-star review. Tell us why you like the show. We would really, really appreciate it as, again, we try to grow. All right, Matt. Nikola Jokic going into his 11th media day. Jamal Murray going into, I believe, his 10th media day. And David Adelman going into the first media day where he will be asked to speak. Usually in years past, it was Nikola Jokic, Michael Malone, Tim Connolly, Calvin Booth, those guys who would really sort of set the tone for what the expectations were heading into the year. I'm curious what kind of setting of the tone you think we will get from those guys, whether it's from Nikola Jokic, from Jamal Murray, who I think could safely say has transitioned into a leader for this team, a serious leader for this team, and then David Adelman in his first season at the helm.
Jamal tends to be persnickety. So it kind of depends on, this is where like our fellow media members set the tone, right?
I'll be asking a lot of the questions at the beginning. I'll just say that.
if somebody asks Jamal, like right up front, how are you responding to this criticism or whatever, like from being the rankings or whatever else?
Sure.
He's going to be like, I don't pay attention to it. You guys have always doubted me, etc. Joker's not going to say, Joker won't say anything interesting at all. Like, you know, Joker, how excited are you about this new roster, about the new additions, how good this is going to be? Well, we'll see, brother. You know, we'll see how, you know, they're very good. You know, I think Cam Johnson's very good. He really sees the floor well and is a good shooter. So I'm excited to play with him. And, you know, do you think you can win a championship this year? I hope so. You know, it doesn't really matter what I think. We'll see. That's all he'll say. So I don't have like, I have a level of interest of about 0 in Nikola's press conference. It'd be great if he was like, we're going for it. You know, comes out is like, I will crush the NBA under my heel. That'd be excellent. Adelman's the one that I'm most interested in because I do think that David's got, Malone had a lot of presence, good, bad, or otherwise. Michael Malone was a professional coach and has been a professional coach in this league for decades, and Adelman's been in this league a long time. But Malone has a lot of presence, and Adelman has a really good camaraderie and understanding and relationship with the players that have been here. But I'm curious to know how it goes with the new guys and like what that's like and what tone he sets and how he transitions from being an assistant to a full-time head coach and what that's like for him. So to me, Adelman is like the most interesting one. I really want to hear from JV about all the stuff this summer. Yeah. Cam Johnson will be interesting just because he's an interesting guy and that really cares about basketball. AG is always great. It's everybody else I'm interested in talking to, really. These three guys outside of Adelman, I have low expectations for Jokic and Murray.
I don't blame you. As we've done this over the course of the last decade, it has seemed like Jokic has gotten less and less interesting. And Murray, I feel like, has definitely gotten a little bit more he was a little bit standoffish early in his career and then kind of mellowed out for a little bit. And then he's been a little bit more standoffish. I wonder what it's going to be like this time around. I also kind of think that sometimes it's difficult to hide when you feel like you haven't necessarily put in the effort. I feel like he's put in the effort this summer. That's what I'm kind of expecting to get from him at the kind of the outset, because it does seem like all the videos are good. He's been at the runs. He's been taking care of his body. That's the expectation. It feels like, I don't know if that's something that
if you had asked him, but Ryan, if you'd asked him last year, he'd been like, I'm in great shape. I've been training all summer. I had an injury in the Olympics, but since then feel good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, because there's just no good way to ask about something like that and sort of the changes that you make in the summer. And now maybe that is the way to ask, is was there any change you made to summer routine, or was it
business as usual?
Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes it's just about who asks that question.
And it's also, I think for him too, though, also, I want to, Cam says I'm a Jamal defender now. I do want to kind of point this out. If he comes in and he's like, I worked so hard at my game this summer, I'm in the best shape of my life. I really, what if he came in and was like, I realized I wasn't putting in the work that I needed to. And I really doubled down. I'm I don't know if that's true. Again, I'm not the one that has been criticizing those things with him, but let's say he said those kind of things and then he gets hurt in the first week of camp. He sprains an ankle, hamstring tightens up, something happens. First game of the season, he suffers something, right? That's what I think he has really kind of buckled against, his expectation. Is his mindset is the collective which includes me and you and everybody outside of that locker room, don't know anything about it. So you can't set expectations on me.
It's fair. He's also somebody who has never been he does hear the criticism a lot of, he hears all of it, and how he reacts to it is obviously his choice, and then what he's how he's going to react to it is what it is. But
can we hit this from Tiffany, who's been in here I think every week talking about Jokic being out of shape?
Yeah.
She says, can you ask Jokic about his conditioning and his shape compared to 2023? She says, I would ask Jokic that. If I asked you to call Jokic that, you'd be like, it's good, it's fine, it's always fine, it's been fine every year.
I feel like I'm in good shape. I feel like I have always approached things in a good way, and I always take care of myself and make sure that I am ready to go. Whether that is true or not, it certainly won't. Maybe getting a quote on record is important in that regard, but I'm not sure how much I value it personally.
Yeah, so I think the thing is just one thing that is really lost is the players really do not think that we are the conduit between the fans and them, even though we are. We very much are. We try and ask the questions that fans are like, can you find out why this happened? If they're mad about something, the only difference is just fans want us to be like, why'd you screw up that play? And instead it's like, hey, can you walk us through what happened on that final sequence? Because
framing is always very important. It's why it's also just why we do what we do. It's why we're in the building.
Yeah. And I'm just I'm more curious about the answer than I am about holding them accountable. I hold them accountable when we talk about them on the show or I write about them. Right. It's in the analysis, because they don't care about my opinion, which is, I don't blame them for that. But that's where you do that. It's the press conference is not for calling out people. I'm not going to go in there and be like, hey, Yoke, Tiffany on my YouTube comment says you're fat. What you think about that, man? Not appropriate. and honestly disrespectful of a 3-time MVP and the best player in the world.
Of course, because you can have concerns about conditioning or whatever, but every single time he has gone out there, he has busted his butt and played extremely hard and been extremely successful. So it's 100%. I totally get it.
So she's got a good follow-up here, actually, and I like this part of our show. We're talking about comments. She says, can you ask this? Jokic, are you willing to sacrifice some offensive gameplay for better defense? I'd love to see Jokic care more about defense in the regular season versus the playoffs. So one of the few questions I've asked, last year I asked him about this, about the battle on energy between when you have to manage the offense and you're the focal point and putting the effort in there, and then trying to maintain some energy on the defensive side. And Jokic said, good question. Only took you 9 years. And after the cinders went out from him burning me, he gave a really good answer, because star players actually think about this a lot, and they don't think that we talk about it enough.
Yeah.
That you really do have to kind of decide. A big reason I will tell you why the Orlando Magic sucks so much on offense is because of how hard they played on defense. Like, that's a big reason why. If you notice, the Cleveland Cavaliers were a top 5 defense every year under JB Bickerstaff. And this year they had the number 1 offense in the league, but they fell outside of the top 5 in defense and were outside of the top 10 for most of the year. Do you know why? It wasn't they were playing different guys.
Offense.
They were playing with more effort and energy on offense.
Yeah.
And like that impacts you. And finding that balance, I think, is way tougher than we make it out to be. It's because it's not like it's not a mechanical thing. It's not put the ball here, move here, do this. It's like it's managing. Think of it this way. When you're running, if you're on a treadmill and you're running, like I have stretches where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to pass out, but I have to keep running. And then 2 minutes later, I get my wind back and I'm able to run the same pace, but I get my wind back a little bit more and I'm still running. Same type of deal. And if you play basketball, you know this. Like there's plays where you're just like, I can't get up the floor, I'm walking. And then there's plays where you're like, I feel good, I'm jogging back. And it's the same kind of deal, only at the highest level with the most pressure and the most mental load in front of thousands of people. So yeah, it's kind of tough.
Breaking on when we do the release for this episode, breaking, Matt Moore compares his athleticism to NBA players, news at 11. When we come back, why don't we answer this question? Who do you think, Matt, is going to be the most interesting Nugget tomorrow? We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, let's talk about FanDuel. The NFL season is here, has been here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What a game we just had this past night. Green Bay versus Dallas. I cashed out, had a nice little win. Dallas was not expected to be successful in this one, but they got a tie. I'm not sure if you bet on that one, but if you did, you probably won some big bucks. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets.
Better win that game tomorrow.
Yeah, honestly.
Better win that game tomorrow.
KC looked good. They looked fantastic. I will stop at good. They looked fantastic today.
Chargers chargered.
Raiders raided.
Chargers chargered so hard.
I can't, like, you had a rookie quarterback that you were facing in his first start. Malik Neighbors goes down with a torn ACL in all likelihood. It was super sad to see. And they still Chargers still managed to lose.
Yep.
All right, let's get back to it. Locked On Nuggets, thank you so much for tuning into the show, folks. We're very excited. Matt and Swipa will break down a post-media day tomorrow. Then, Matt, I believe you're going to San Diego, are going to get the boots-on-the-ground reporting for us for Locked On Nuggets for Denver Nuggets training camp. And so we got plenty to bring. You're going to have plenty of insights. You're going to want to be here at Locked On Nuggets. Very excited for all of the content that we get to give you. Matt, who do you think is going to be the most interesting Nugget tomorrow? Pick a player.
Oh, it's going to be Cam Johnson for me.
Media training?
Just the way he talks about the game, and it's so detailed, and like he cares about it so much, and like he's not going to talk about something he saw on Instagram that suggests that incesticides are actually causing infertility or something. I cannot wait to cover Cam Johnson.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. But if you want to know, I actually really want to hear, like, Bruce is going to be great just to have him back.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to hear from Aaron Gordon.
Okay.
Because Aaron was, I think, the most frustrated guy in the locker room last year. And Aaron had a rough season with his calf. But I think a lot of the things that slipped last year, he considers to be things that he prides himself on, not only as far as like his performance, but for holding the team accountable. And a lot of the mistakes that were made frustrated him specifically. Yeah. So I'm interested to see where his head is at coming into this season.
I'm interested to hear about not really like contract talks per se, but we've seen this Jonathan Kuminga thing, the Quentin Grimes thing play out so long for the restricted free agent market. I'm really curious to hear from both Christian Braun and Peyton Watson on those kinds of talks, and also from the front office to see if they do have interest in getting that done now versus having to wait, and how contentious stuff like that can get down the line. I'm curious to see whether that's.
I feel like we know that like Christian's going to get an extension before the deadline. Peyton's not.
It's the feeling that we get. I'm not sure if it's actually going to manifest because like you see the money that's getting thrown around or not getting thrown around right now. And I just think it's very curious what guys are willing to accept if they are in a starting lineup or want to be in a starting lineup in Peyton Watson's case. So we'll see. Matt, you've been to so many media days. You've been to so many media days. I just my first media day was actually the one in 2019 when Nikola had that picture taken of him by Dev Johnson, which made the rounds. It was Jokic looking a little big, and he got into shape during the middle of that season, and then the Nuggets made the Western Conference Finals. But it was a story at the beginning of the year, and that was my first impression when they did the tables, and we got to cycle around all the different players at the tables. It was great. What are some of your main media day memories that you have? What do you think back upon, and just whether it's covering this team, just covering the league? What do you think? What do you think about when you think about media day?
Kenneth Faried just like just Olympic Faried just going absolutely ham in all of his interviews. Good, bad, and the ugly.
I'm a starter.
Malone's first media day was really great. I was writing about this in the Dig. It sucks that things have changed. The app now, the NBA wants everything televised so that, quote, you never miss a moment. So if somebody does something that goes viral, they've got it on film and they don't have to have a reporter's grainy camera or credit anyone else. It's their content, right? But it sucks because what they used to do is they used to just, in the practice gym, they would set up about 6 tables and guys would come in randomly to these various stations at different times as they would cycle through and do stuff. And you would get to actually like talk to them. The funniest thing about this comment from Noam Chomsky, who says maybe CB will sign for $15 million a year, and a little side deal worth $10 million a year promoting Longmont Dairy. I get my milk from Longmont Dairy.
You'd appreciate it.
Shout out Longmont Dairy. That is the best milk I have had in my entire life, and I'm sure Christian Braun would also enjoy a nice glass of whole milk.
Christian Brown's probably a milk drinker. He's a Kansas, he's a Missouri guy. Like I could see it.
So, I miss when like we used to be able to have like actual conversations.
Yeah.
Because I used to have like really good talks. Like I had a really great talk with Jameer Nelson after one of his, just talking about like life as an NBA vet and like what he was expecting, and it was great because he was like, he's like, I'm not at the point in my career where I'm just here to mentor. Like I want to play, and I still want to be able to earn my check, but I've also got to set the tone for these young guys. So it's been just really interesting watching the evolution year after year after year. And it's just funny to watch like Nikola go from like sweats to like walking in the building in sweats to now arriving in what he'll arrive in. Where it used to be like Jokic was there, and now it's like he'll show up. He literally will probably be late tomorrow. Yeah, because he gets there during the event.
There was like I think DNVR put out on their profile that hey, today was definitely a pool day. Today was definitely not a pool day. Today was definitely a flight day. Today was a 12-hour flight day. That's. Yeah. I don't think he's flying for any less time than that.
Well, no, because we're okay. So let's see. Today was a pool day.
You think he was here?
No.
Oh.
I think he left an hour ago. Because media day starts at 9:15, and he doesn't have to be there until like the end of it. So like he's got some time in between.
You think so? Nicola's gonna be jet lagged. You think he's gonna be really amping it up for the first day of training camp, like just really, really running those sprints that they're the 17s. I'm a little skeptical of that. That'll be funny. In terms of other media day memories, like the Kenneth Faried one is great because it like him saying I am a starter when they signed Paul Millsap was was quite something. That it was good energy if it wasn't like so blatant. And there's just other things that stand out. The Nurkic kind of, that was kind of before my time, I'd say, the Nurkic Jokic kind of Balkan buddy ball when they said that they were going to really start leaning into that. But yeah, I do really love hearing about Jameer Nelson. Vlatko Čančar was that way for me. Just, it was always so graceful when you could speak to guys on the side. And anytime you showed appreciation to somebody who wasn't like the main starter or the main like guys that were super interesting, that was really helpful. Will Barton, shout out to Will Barton, he said, I am a starter in this league when MPJ got healthy. He was also right. He was 100%.
That was so great.
Yeah,
that was great because there was so much speculation.
Yeah, that was a good, like, that was down in San Diego, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that 2019.
No, the media day is always here, but like what's really great about Will.
Oh, I mean, down in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, what's great about Will is that Will was the biggest advocate for MPJ.
Yeah.
Like Will was always like we were in there one day when MPJ during his rookie season was like clacked him in a shooting contest. We were talking to Malone and like they're having a shooting contest on the side and I'm watching and I'm like, oh my God, as Porter just like cans it. And Will like gets done and he's like, all right. And they like, daps him up. I'm sure he's got to pay him later. And Will walks by me. He's like, you see that shit? And I was, it was great.
Will was the guy who tweeted after MPJ's breakout game, 6'10" with a ratchet and a handle, which was amazing. There's an absolute bar. So these are the times I think for Nuggets fans to really value not just the main core, but also all of the people that contribute to it on the way. Like I remember Justin Holiday making a massive impression alongside Reggie Jackson at that media day, and he was great for the entire season. It was amazing, and like I knew immediately then that he was going to be a factor, like just a super helpful vet.
Yeah, and you knew the same thing last year when you heard all the guys talk about how great they knew that Dario Saric was going to be. So
sometimes you hit and sometimes you miss. And sometimes it's like not controllable or not expected completely. Like,
and no one could have predicted it. Like no one thought that.
Nobody that I respect.
Yeah.
Shout out Swipa. Okay, Matt, we've run out of time. Any final parting thoughts before we check in for the rest of the week?
Swipe and I'll break down all the quotes for you. I'll have observations from like the tone and everything from there. I'm flying into San Diego on Tuesday. Hopefully I make practice, but it might not be till Wednesday. We will have shows for you reacting to practice and whatever comes out on Tuesday. And then I'll have videos and clips and all sorts of stuff from you for you on Wednesday and Thursday. I'll have shorts up on the YouTube page as well and write-ups over at the Denver Dig. Let's go, guys. It's going to be a great season. Excited to have you with us here at Locked On Nuggets.
Let's go. Let's make it a great year, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Locked On Nuggets.